finished more than 20 games behind the division champion. It has been a long, frustrating decade. But there is reason to believe the 90s will be different. This hope is based on a young pitching staff that could be the envy of the league. In Cincinnati, Marge Schott and the Cincinnati Reds also know a bit about bad times. In 1989, this proud franchise was ripped apart by the Pete Rose affair. But new manager Lou Piniella has brought a positive attitude with him. Superstar center fielder Eric Davis is happy with his new contract. And the Reds are 3-0 and on the upswing. Up next, two teams looking to change their fortunes. It's the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds on ESPN. Hi, everybody, and welcome to ESPN's Major League Baseball coverage. I'm Steve Zabriskie, working tonight with the newly elected Hall of Famer Jim Palmer. And Jim, you know something about pitching, that's for sure. And the Atlanta Braves are banking on pitching. As we mentioned earlier, they have fine young pitchers, but as yet, they haven't really stepped forward.
No, they haven't. And Russ Nixon, the manager of this ball club, said, hey, we don't really know if it's just the fact that they're young or the fact they're not in shape because of the abbreviated spring training. Here are the numbers. And they tell the truth. They're not getting the ball over the plate. Of course, tonight is a different story. Derek Lilliquist, who last year led the National League in least amount of walks, under 2 walks a ball game. So he'll be on the mound. His record last year, Steve, 8-10, but he did not take advantage of a very good defense. This year, the defense improved with Presley at third base and over at first base, Nick Zasriskie, and then, of course, Otoby McDowell in center field.
Well, the other thing that the Atlanta Braves were hoping was that their offense would be improved as well with the acquisitions they made. So far, the new heart of the lineup hasn't done the job either.
No, it hasn't. I said there was something like 6 for 41. You can see the power short. He's not hitting with runners in scoring position. This is the type of ball club that my former manager, Earl Weaver, would like to come out in retirement for, because it's basically going to be the premise is, let's sit back. A couple of guys maybe up in the order will run McDowell and also Lonnie Smith. But what they're going to do is they're going to sit back and they're going to wait for the 3-run home run. If Presley, Zasriskie, and Murphy don't hit the home runs, they're going to struggle.
The Cincinnati Reds have made a few changes, but they have some real talent on this ball club and some fine young players. If they do not go through the injury syndrome they had last year, they could contend.
Well, the old cliche, health is wealth, really applies to Cincinnati. A new manager, Lou Piniella. He has been, he's got his ball club undefeated, 3-0, but they liked Lou because he's a player's manager. He played for years. He was an outstanding player, but he was the type of player that had to earn what he did. He came up as a great hitter, but he wasn't a great outfitter. It made him into it, and he's the type of guy you'd like to play for. But the key is to get Sabo healthy, to get Larkin healthy, who was injured last year, to get a strong season out of Mariano Duncan. And the key to this ball club from an offensive standpoint, as far as I'm concerned, is Eric Davis. If he is healthy, if he can play more than the average of like 130 games, which is what he's averaged over the last 5 years, they will be a contending ball club in the West.
And now here's the Sears diehard starting lineup for the Cincinnati Reds this evening. Third baseman Chris Sabo will lead it off. Newly acquired Billy Hatcher will be in left field. Shortstop Barry Larkin will bat third. Eric Davis in center field batting fourth as usual. Todd Benzinger, the first baseman, bats fifth. Paul O'Neill will be in right field batting sixth. Joe Oliver will do the catching and bat seventh. Batting eighth, Mariano Duncan at second base. And of course, Tom Browning, the pitcher, will bat ninth.
Take a look at the Atlanta Braves defense. The right fielder, Dale Murphy. In center field, Otoby McDowell. Much improved this defense, coming over and playing about 76 games last year. Lonnie Smith, high fielding percentage, but not known for his fielding as much as his bat. Go around the infield. Jim Presley from the Seattle Mariners should tighten up this infield. Jeff Blaser moving from third to shortstop, where he feels more comfortable. And today we have Mark Lemke instead of Jeff Treadwell. Very good range. And over at first, who only made 6 errors in the American League last year, Nick Zasriskie. And behind the plate, Jody Davis, the veteran catcher. And that takes us to the pitcher, Derek Lilliquist. Last year, 8-10. And of course, that numbers belie the fact that he's a much better pitcher than that. Led the National League in least amount of walks, under 2 a game. So he is going to take advantage of a revamped defense here in Atlanta.
And here's a guy, Jim, who is only in his second season in the big leagues. And when you look at the Atlanta pitching staff, they're all 22, 23, 24 years old. And you know, babies in the big leagues.
Well, when they talk about Derek Lilliquist, they say he's got a lot of guts. We're not talking about Louis Armstrong, but the point is that he has 4 pitches. He's not afraid to throw the ball over the plate. And last year, Atlanta had a very porous defense, 151 errors. So again, you go for a guy like Odubie McDowell in center field. You look at Russ Nixon, the manager of this ball club. You try to tighten up your defense in the infield with Presley, even though his numbers came down in Seattle. But that's, I think, because he was worrying too much about his batting.
Well, it can be brutally hot here in the summertime in Atlanta, but tonight it is quite nice. 61 degrees at game time, expected to drop down in the 40s later tonight, but no chance of rain really to speak of, and not any wind. And here in this ballpark, there rarely is a wind factor because it's an enclosed stadium that's sunken down below the normal level of the ground. And there's Lou Piniella. So many years in the Yankees organization in so many different positions, now the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. And the one thing they talk about, Jim, about Piniella and talking to some of the players on the Reds today is this infectious positive attitude that he has brought.
Well, he's a winner. He was a winner in a Yankee uniform. He was a winner when he played, when he came up, actually came up with the Washington Senators, played for the Orioles for a while, went over to Cleveland, then went in the draft over to Kansas City, had a fine career before he came to the Yankees. And the one thing he's used to doing is winning. And that's something that he's going to try to instill in a ball club last year that finished 5th after 4 consecutive second-place finishes. I don't believe Lou looks at this year as that second place is going to satisfy him. He thinks he has a ball club that can contend, and if they stay healthy, can win in the National League West.
And with the talent they have, you have to agree with them. Here's Chris Sabo to lead it off. He hit .260 last year with 6 homers and 29 RBIs. He was one of the many Reds who was injured part of the season. Down low, ball 1.
Well, very simple. They were 8 games over 500 when Chris was able to play. 20 under when he was on the disabled list.
A drive to left field. Lonnie Smith can only watch it as it's out of here. A home run leading off the game for Chris Sabo.
Two years ago, all you had to do was turn on the highlight films, so whether it's Sports Center late at night, and you would see Chris Sabo the first half jumping on high pitches in the strike zone and hitting them with power. The second half, it looked like they were a lot more selective of what they threw him. But here he missed with the first pitch. Now he can look fastball, and look what he gets. Appears like a fastball in the middle of the plate. The ball jumps here, 1-0.
Well, here's Billy Hatcher, who spent last season with Houston and Pittsburgh, traded for Glenn Wilson, and then came to the Reds in the offseason. He hit .231 as a composite average last year with 4 homers and 51 RBIs. Fouled off. Sabo a little thirsty from the trot around the bases.
Yeah, would like to be thirsty more often. After missing 59 games last year because of that knee injury.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Hatcher, and another one fouled back.
Yeah, that's the pitch right there. The little changeup he's turned over. And you have to talk about Lilliquist coming off an outstanding spring where he only gave up 1 earned run in 11 innings pitched, but he hasn't been out there in a while.
Fastball well hit to left field. Lonnie Smith may have a chance at this one, and he does. But that one a long way for out number 1.
That'll get your breath out on the mound where you just thought you threw back-to-back home runs. Just a little hanging slider that hung out over the plate. Again, Hatcher really not a power hitter, but you can take a spray hitter, a guy that can run like Billy Hatcher with 24 steals, and make him into a power hitting by speeding up his bat with a hanging slider.
Now here's Barry Larkin, and Larkin takes a strike over the outside corner. Larkin off to a torrid start, picking up right where he left off last season. He hit .342 but he too was injured and did not have enough at bats to qualify for the batting title. There's a base hit by Jeff Blauser into left field. Larkin, a .317 career hitter against the Atlanta Braves.
Lilliquist, the three batter, has thrown all the pitches that have been hit right in the middle of the plate. The fastball to Sable on a 1-1 pitch or a 1-0 pitch, then the hanging slider, and that a curveball that just hung right in the middle of the plate. I don't believe that you can leave the ball in the middle of the plate with this lineup and be effective.
Well, with Eric Davis following Larkin, if Hatcher hits, their 2, 3, and 4 hitters could be tough duty.
Of course, you don't want to take the bat out of Eric Davis's hand. So Larkin, who stole 10 bases in 1989, can run and will run, but not in this situation. Very doubtful that he'll go until there's 2 outs.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike to Davis.
Yeah, to give it an idea of the difference in the 2 ball clubs as far as their offensive philosophy, if you look at Sam Perlozo down at third base for the Reds, they've already attempted 9 steals and were successful 7 times. Atlanta has yet to try a steal. Now, they've been behind a lot of games.
Davis fights it off for strike 2, 1 and 2. But that's really going to be the makeup of each club all year long. Atlanta doesn't have the speed.
Yeah, the dinosaur offense. You know, to sit back and, you know, again, except for McDowell. You know, occasionally Lonnie Smith can run, but Cincinnati, 15 out of 20 in spring training.
Lilliquist with a semi-balk move. Chases Larkin back.
Well, he's quick to the plate, but he does not have a good move to first base. So they're counting that he'll get the ball to the catcher, not to deceive the runner.
He gets Davis with a fastball. Out number 2 and the first strikeout for Derek Lilliquist.
Another ball up in the strike zone. It looks like he tries to turn that pitch over and does. It just runs away from Eric Davis. But again, one of the things with Eric Davis, strikes out a lot, 116 times last year.
But he hit 34 homers and drove in 101.
Yes, he did.
Here's Todd Benzinger, the first baseman, who hit 17 home runs last year. He takes away outside ball 1. Larkin at first with 2 out. A run in on Chris Sabo's leadoff home run. That's a strike on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. And another throw to first, but Larkin was barely off the bag. Now with 2 out, we'll see if Larkin gets turned loose. Not running, and a pitch is a base hit to right field. Larkin rounds second. He will go to third as Murphy is up with the ball. And the Reds keep the inning going with runners at first and third and 2 out.
Well, I think the one thing, if you talk to Todd Benzinger, he'll tell you, I want to improve my average. This is how he'll do it. Not try to pull that ball, just go the other way. Nice inside-out swing on a ball out over the plate. But that's what Derek Lilliquist is going to do. He's not going to walk anybody. He's going to give up a lot of hits. He gave up over 200 hits in 165 innings last year. Won't walk you, only 34 walks. And right there, that's the guy that's got to be patient. He said he could give up 5 hits in an inning, and he might not score a run.
Russ Nixon sees his team already down 1-0, and here's Paul O'Neill. A breaking ball for a strike, 0-1. O'Neill last year hit .276. That's going to be out of play, and it's strike 2.
A very big decision for manager Lou Piniella of the Cincinnati Reds. The numbers last year, of course, 276, 330 versus right-handed pitching, only 178 against left-handers. He does have some choices. Rolando Rooms, he can platoon for O'Neill, but he can run the bases, good defensive outfielder. He'd like to see if he can hang in there against lefties. Pretty good opportunity right here.
Well, on that previous pitch, it appeared that he was bailing a little bit when he fouled the ball off. So he really wasn't hanging in there that well. Now he's behind. No balls, 2 strikes. First and third with 2 out. We're in the top of the first.
Yeah, watch that front shoulder. That will tell you what direction the batter is going. We always talk about pulling away from the ball. When you pull the lead shoulder, it also takes your head right with it. Pretty good angle right here. See that right shoulder stays in there.
Well, I'll tell you, that's as close as you can come without getting a strike, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's almost looked like home plate umpire Jerry Lane evened up. The first pitch may have been high, the first strike. Look at this ball, right where Jody Davis is sitting. I think he just missed it. A little give on the shoulder. He was just fooled, both the umpire and the hitter.
And the 2-2 pitch does get him. Derek Lilliquist strikes out 2, but gives up a run on 3 hits. It could have been worse, but it's 1-0 Cincinnati. Now here's the Sears die-hard starting lineup for the Atlanta Braves this evening. Center fielder Oddibe McDowell will lead it off. Shortstop Jeff Blauser bats second. Lonnie Smith will bat third and play left field. Nick Asaski, the first baseman, bats fourth. Right fielder Dale Murphy batting fifth. Third baseman Jim Presley batting sixth. The 7th hitter is the catcher Jody Davis. The 8th hitter Mark Lemke at second base, and Derek Lilliquist batting ninth.
And the Cincinnati Red defense. Paul O'Neill in right field, very rangy right fielder. 3-time Gold Glove winner in center Eric Davis. Billy Hatcher, we told you about his speed as a base runner, also helps him in the outfield. Not an outstanding arm. Around the infield, Chris Sabo, who likes to get his uniform dirty. Barry Larkin, and the key to him, will he come back from the elbow problems he had? We'll check him out tonight, see how his arm is. Former shortstop Mariano Duncan. Great range at second. Todd Benzinger, second leading fielding percentage in first baseman in the National League in 1989. And Joe Oliver, the 24-year-old young catcher who's got a great arm. They like the way he handles the pitcher. And tonight's pitcher will be the left-hander Browning. Boy, does he have some outstanding stuff. Tom Browning last year 15 and 12, the 20-game winner in his career. And I think Stan Williams, pitching coach, said it best. He said he comes at you like a guy that throws 95 miles per hour when it's only about 82 miles per hour. Very confident pitcher.
Oddibe McDowell leading off and taking outside for ball 1. Browning threw just under 250 innings last year. He is the ace of the staff and the workhorse at that. There you see the numbers from last year. Grounded in the hole. Duncan over with an easy play to first for out number 1. Let's check in with the Baseball Tonight studio and John Saunders.
Well, Steve and Jim, Jack Morris lost his first 6 games last year, already 0-1 this season, and the Orioles jump all over him. Steve Finley had a triple, and then Cal Ripken Jr. sends this one back to the wall. The run comes in to score to make it 2-0. Ripken would score later. It's now 3-0. Let's get back to Steve and Jim in Atlanta.
Thanks, John. Jeff Blauser in there now with 1 out and nobody on, and he takes strike 1. Blauser hit 270 last season, and this is a guy that the Atlanta organization is supremely high on.
Had a chance to see him play the last couple of springs, and 12 home runs along with that average. See the numbers this year, struggling as is most of the people in the Atlanta offense. Good power the other way in right center, playing him straight away, but he can drive the ball the other way.
Hits it sharply on the ground to Sabo at third. A high throw, but the tag is in time, says Bob Engel. A very close play. Looked as if Blauser might have been on the bag when Benzinger tagged him. But it's out number 2.
Chris Sabo did 2 things properly. First of all, he stayed down, caught the ball. And he gets rid of it fairly quickly, which allows the bad throw and Benzinger to come down and get the out. Very close play, as you said, Steve.
So Lonnie Smith will hit with 2 out and nobody on. Lonnie also off to a slow start, 1 for 9 on the year. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, came to spring training heavy. Last year, a terrific year at 315 with 21 home runs. Along with 79 RBIs, can steal bases. Said he gave up smoking, which is good, but the bad thing is he didn't give up eating.
He hits this one very high to left field. Billy Hatcher on the track makes the catch. And Tom Browning retires the Atlanta Braves in order here in the first. At the end of 1, Cincinnati leads it 1-0. Steve Zabriskie and Jim Palmer with you at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium as we get ready to go to the top half of the second inning, with Cincinnati leading 1-0. Men here in Atlanta, they've played around with the fences a little bit over the years. It's known as a launching pad, and you can see that it is relatively short, especially down the lines. Power alleys are about normal, as is center field. But Jim, it's really the weather here that makes the ball carry, not on a night like tonight so much as in the summertime.
Oh, that and the pitching staff. Their numbers have come down appreciably over the last couple of years. Over 4.5 runs a game 3 years ago to 4 runs a game, and then last year in the high 3s, like 3.8 something. Ball does carry down the line here, though.
Joe Oliver, the hitter, and he fouls one back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Oliver in 49 games with the Reds last year hit .272 with 3 homers and 23 RBIs. High and away, ball 2, 2-1.
You know, they like the total package. They like the way he throws, like the way he calls pitches. Quick bat with some pop. Had gone backwards a couple of years earlier.
Drives the fastball to right field. Murphy on the run into the corner, won't get there. It rattles around in the corner, and Oliver will have an easy stand-up leadoff double here in the second.
Well, just a fly ball, pretty good pitch, down and away. Murphy used to play a lot of center field here, just can't get to it. Does go into the corner, we can't see it, but comes up with it quickly, and Oliver will stay at second base. Has had some knee operations. A couple of years ago had one, and then last October 18th. So, but then again, if you're a catcher, you're not expected to run particularly fast.
You're also expected to have knee problems. That's the 4th hit for Cincinnati, as they had 3 in the first. Mariano Duncan takes high and away, ball 1. Duncan off to a very brisk start, 5 for 10 on the year, and already has a home run. Last year all season between LA and Cincinnati, he hit a total of 3. He drives it just inside the first base bag. Oliver rounding third will score easily, and Duncan's on his way to second. Back-to-back doubles, and it's Cincinnati 2-0.
No, just outstanding offensive play by the Cincinnati Reds. Oliver just goes with the first pitch. He doubles, and Mariano Duncan trying to get him to third base with nobody out. Gets one right inside the bag. Now, if you're trying to pull this ball, number one, you probably hit it to the shortstop. This time he's just trying to go right down the right field line. He does. And Joe Oliver scores easy, 2-0.
So the offensive onslaught continues, and the problems of the young Atlanta pitching staff continues. 5 hits now and 2 runs in just over an inning. And here's a pitcher Browning to bunt. Foul. Strike 1.
Well, the thing about a young pitching staff, and I had a chance to be part of many in Baltimore, is that you feed off each other. It makes it a lot easier than on Friday night for Derek Lilliquist and manager Russ Nixon if John Smoltz had pitched well yesterday. And if he had pitched well yesterday after seeing the pitcher Pete Smith pitch well, or Tom Glavine, you just go out there, you're more relaxed. And of course, this is not a relaxed team because the people are all over him here in Atlanta.
This time he gets the bunt down and gets it down well. Jim Presley throws over to Lemke covering, and the sacrifice moves Duncan to third with one out. Back to the studio and John Saunders.
Steve and Jim checking elsewhere in the National League. Mike Marshall with a winning single in the 10th gives the Mets the win over the Expos. The Cardinals and the Phillies. Todd Zeile already has a 2-run home run. The Padres Giants later to come. Let's get it back to you in Atlanta.
Thanks, John. Baseball tonight, and Mr. Saunders will be there all evening, keeping you up to date. Of course, this is the first of a doubleheader with San Francisco, San Diego to follow. Atlanta playing the infield in now all the way around, as they don't want to give up any more runs. And Sabo, who homered leading off the game, takes a strike.
Yeah, double-edged sword. You play in. If Sabo does hit it by you, he can run. Only 14 steals last year with a knee problem, but 46 the year before. So what you're trying to do is really take a calculated gamble.
He pops it up on the right side. Zabriskie and Lemke going back. Tough play for Lemke, but he makes it. And even though the runner at third, Duncan, bluffed, he's not going anywhere, and it's out number 2.
A tough play, as you said, because the infield is in. Have to go back, and Mark Lemke, as you look right here, thought he had plenty of time. So we talked about the field here. It is rough. Infield is extremely hard. Got a little lesson on horticultural from Dale Murphy, telling us that this is basically Bermuda grass with an overseed of rye, so it makes it very quick. Plus, it's very hard.
They do that so it will look green, because this time of year in Atlanta, the Bermuda would be brown.
Painted.
Yeah, that was, you know, I've played on fields where they've painted them. That'd be better than the way it is, which is rough and fast. Billy Hatcher fly deep to left in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that's the pitch right there that they feel that will make Derek Lilliquist even a better pitcher. It's a changeup in a fastball situation. He missed with the first pitch, just turns it over a little bit. It looks like a fastball, same arm action. And Billy Hatcher swings at the arm action. Ball's not there yet.
Duncan at third with 2 out, and down low, 2-1. Held up, and it's 3-1.
It was in this situation very much. You're trailing by 2 runs. You don't want to give up another run. You want to be careful to Hatcher, but who lurks on deck? Barry Larkin. I'd rather pitch to Hatcher.
Hatcher grounds it to short. Blauser up with it, and the inning is over. But the Reds add another run on back-to-back doubles, and they leave one here in the second. Middle of the second, 2-0 Reds. Bottom of the second here in Atlanta, 2-0 Cincinnati. The Braves went in order in the first. So the number 4 hitter Nick Zabriskie will lead it off against Tom Browning here in the second. And he hits the first pitch to center for a single.
We told you that Tom Browning will come right after you. Nick Zabriskie looking fastball, gets it up in the strike zone. And when you're as strong as Zabriskie, you don't have to try to pull the ball. 30 home runs last year in Fenway Park and for the Red Sox. And Dale Murphy, who's about as strong as anybody in the National League, said it's amazing how far he can hit the ball.
Murph said he's seen Zabriskie hit the ball as hard as he's ever seen anybody hit it. Murphy, now the hitter, fouls it off for strike 1. Murph, who has really struggled the last 2 seasons, 226 2 years ago, 228 last year after so many outstanding years, is again off to a slow start, as you see.
Big swing, off-season conditioning program, dropped 10 pounds. Best shape in the last 4 or 5 years.
He drives this one a ton to right center field, and the ball game is tied. Very few hitters in baseball today can drive the ball the other way like Dale Murphy.
Well, you just saw two of them. Zabriskie has that kind of power. Looks like a tee shot that maybe you just hit not out of bounds, but down the right side of the fairway. And it gets you right back in the game. Browning last year led the National League in most home runs. In fact, he's done it the last 2 years. He may do it again. He's going to pitch a lot of innings, and normally he doesn't do it. He likes to give up solos. 2-run shots. They all make you feel good when you're on the mound. How's the other team right back in the game?
Jim Presley takes ball 1. And strike 1, 1-1.
How fickle fans are. Last night, when Dale Murphy came up, struck out with the bases loaded, they were booing him. Tonight, all it took was a 2-run shot, and they're on their feet.
Fought off to third base. Sabo will have to hurry, and he gets it there in time for out number 1. Let's go back to John Saunders.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Around the American League, the Indians have already beaten the White Sox. Candy Maldonado with a 2-run home run there. The Rangers are down to the Yankees. Cal Ripken Jr. has an RBI triple as the Orioles lead the Tigers 3-0 now. The Brewers lead the Red Sox 1-0. Let's get back to Atlanta.
There's the Murph. I'll tell you what, this town loves him so much they don't want to boo him. They'd much rather be able to cheer him. Jody Davis with a big swing and a miss for strike 1.
Yeah, but it's happened to some great players.
Oh, yeah.
When I first got in the league, we go into Detroit, and they booed Kaline, they booed Mantle, booed Maris.
What have you done for me lately?
Well, we just saw what he did for him lately.
Hard hit, base hit through the hole to left field. So the Braves are battling back here in the second inning. Their third hit, and Jody Davis will be at first with 1 out. Lou Piniella and Sam Perlazo side by side. So Browning now in a tie game faces Mark Lemke with 1 on and 1 out. Lemke played only 14 games for Atlanta last year, but he figures to play a lot more than that this season. Down low, ball 1.
And mainly because Jeff Treadway, who plays second base, who basically is a great hitter off of right-handed pitching. So they will most likely platoon. Again, a big disparity in their averages, whether they're facing righty or lefties, like Paul O'Neill, the right fielder for the Reds. Plus, Lemke is a good defensive player at second. Can run a little bit. Late in the ball game, especially in the National League, where you pinch hit a lot, 24-man rosters, even though they're 27 now. You don't have to maybe use a player. You can turn him around. Bring in a right-hander, just have him hit from the left side. A natural right-handed hitter.
That fastball looked to be pretty good, and certainly Joe Oliver and Tom Browning thought so, but it's ball 3, 3-0. That's right in there, 3-1. Lemke taking all the way, and now he checks out Roy Matika, the third base coach for the Braves. High ball 4. Runners at first and second now with 1 out. And that'll bring up the pitcher, Derek Lilliquist. With Davis at second and Lemke at first. Lilliquist in a bunting situation, and the Reds infield talking it over now to see how they want to play.
Now you can see the numbers. 190 was a DH at the University of Georgia. I mean, check these numbers out. It's only college baseball. 301 with 19 home runs and 60 RBIs. I said, how come you only hit 190? He said, I saw a lot of left-handers last year.
The rotation play on for the Reds, and Lilliquist taking ball 1.
So a lot of options.
Sabo relaying the signs to the rest of the infield from third base as to whether he will be charging and whether Larkin at short will be running to cover third base on the rotation play. They don't put it on, and again Lilliquist takes. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Lilliquist has shown no signs of bunting as yet.
This is a situation where you'd like to bunt the ball down the third baseline. Therefore, the defense for the Reds, or the pitcher, will cover third, and Benzinger will right off his ankle.
Off of Browning. Sabo has no play. The bases are loaded, and Derek Lilliquist will be credited with a base hit, but Tom Browning is going to be checked out now. Trainer Larry Starr is out for the Reds. They'll give Browning a chance to throw and see if his ankle is all right. Maybe all right now, but tomorrow morning,
yeah, a couple of innings.
I'll be able to get out of bed.
About an 80 pitch limit for Cincinnati starters. Let's take a look. It's a bunt situation, except that Browning really doesn't make a move right or left. Can't get his glove down. You can see him. It looks like it hits him right on the right below the knee.
He brought that left leg in there and made a nice skate save. He didn't want the ball to go through, but he didn't necessarily want to get smoked by it either.
No way.
So the bases are loaded with 1 out. 2 runs are already in here in the second for Atlanta on Dale Murphy's first home run of the year. And the top of the order, Oddibe McDowell. Jody Davis at third. Mark Lemke at second, and Derek Lilliquist at first. McDowell with a weak hack for strike 1.
And that's what Oddibe has to do. They'd like to have him work on what we call the leadoff man mentality.
And that last grand slam by the Braves was hit by Dale Murphy back in 1987. Strike call to McDowell. Thought it was high and tight. No balls, 2 strikes.
Well, if you're watching the game like we are, you can see there's a fluctuating strike zone tonight. Some low pitches are strikes, some are high, and that confuses all parties. Hitters don't know what's going to be a ball, what's going to be a strike.
Foul back. Jerry Lane, the umpire behind the plate, is beginning his first full season in the National League. He umpired some games last year. No balls, 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. Down low, 1 and 2.
I haven't really seen Tom Browning throw a good breaking ball tonight. It seems like everything has either been a fastball or a changeup. He does have a slider. He used to throw a big curveball, which he's put on the shelf. That'd be a good pitch to throw right here if he has command of it.
McDowell fouls it off, and it's still 1 and 2.
You had a chance to do a game Wednesday night where you saw Jeff Ballard, who won 18 games over in the American League last year. And the big difference between a Ballard and a Browning, they both throw about the same velocity, but Ballard has a little bit better slider.
Very sharp late breaking ball. There's a fastball right in there for strike 3 as McDowell is called out for the 2nd out of the inning. First strikeout for Tom Browning.
Well, you take the good with the bad if you're Russ Nixon and you're the manager of the Braves. Last year hitting well over 300 against righties, but only 230 against left-handers. You hope his base running skills and the fact that he's a good outfielder will overcome that. But in a bases loaded situation, it didn't.
So here's Jeff Blauser, and he takes a strike. Blauser was a clutch hitter for Atlanta last year. High and away, and a throw to first not in time. Lilliquist diving back in. We got an idea of Oliver's arm there and a quick release.
Well, that only also the daring mentality. A lot of catchers don't want to do that because they're afraid they attempt that, they'll throw the ball away. Not Benito Santiago, not Rick Dempsey, not some of the more daring catchers.
High to Blauser. 2 balls, 1 strike. Ron Robinson is a right-hander, and Tim Laney is well, they're both right-handers, but the one farthest away on the left of your screen. Swing and a miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And strike 3. The Braves tie the game, but it could have been a whole lot worse. Browning striking out the last 2 hitters, leaving the bases loaded. Thanks, John. Updates all night long. Here it's 2-2 as we go to the top half of the 3rd inning. In the first of a doubleheader here on ESPN tonight. As soon as our game is finished, we'll take you out to Candlestick Park in San Francisco, where the Padres and the Giants will be hooking it up. 2 teams, of course, who are expected to challenge for the Western Division title. Tony Gwynn of the Padres and Will the Thrill went after each other last year for the batting title, with Gwynn barely winning it.
Yeah, Will off to an awful start at 583. About 5 RBIs.
That contract ruined him.
Oh, yeah. It took away all his motivation. In fact, he said it'd make him a better player. I don't know why. Maybe he'll look at his bank book every week and say, hey, I'm better than I thought I was. What a marvelous player, though.
There's
Same
some
with Tony
motivation.
Gwynn.
Here's Barry Larkin to lead off for the Reds in the top half of the 3rd inning of a 2-2 tie. Larkin singled to left his first time up. He is 7 for 15 on the young season. 1 ball, 1 strike. This guy right here, if he stays healthy, may become the shortstop in the National League. Ripped inside the bag, a fair ball and extra bases. Lonnie Smith a long way to go for it, and Larkin easily cruises into second with a leadoff double, and the Reds are right back at it here in the 3rd.
Well, not hit particularly hard, but what caused that is Presley's way off the bags. Now that's fine if you make the pitch you're supposed to make. Part of pitching is defense. Now again, Davis is coming in. Looks like they want to pitch him there. They get the ball in, but look where Presley's playing. He's playing at least 20 feet off the line in a bunt situation because of Larkin's speed. So what you really did was not pitch to your defense. Most likely would have been a single anyway.
Eric Davis, the hitter. Big cut, no contact. Davis with a swinging strikeout in the 1st.
We saw Duncan go the other way after Oliver doubled last inning. We'll see what Davis did. I would imagine he'll go for the downs. He's that type of hitter. Normally, a guy like Lupinella is not going to take your power hitter and say, give yourself up. Even though Davis is a real good hitter when he hits the ball up the middle into right center.
But it's early in the ball game. If it were in the late innings, it might be a different strategy here offensively. They'll let him crank it up here. He does, and he does hit it the other way, but it's going to be foul and out of play, and the count 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, a lot of strategies, a lot of different philosophies depending on who's managing. Earl Weaver said you get 27 outs. That's all you're going to get. Don't give any up. Of course, again, late in the ball game, you may have a little bit different thought process there. Then Gene Mauch would start sacrificing, giving up outs from the 1st inning on if he thought he could win by a run.
A very good tight fastball gets Eric Davis for the 2nd time. Let's go back to John Saunders in the studio.
Steve and Jim in Boston, the old double steal. Gary Sheffield breaks for 2nd. Billy Bates is on 3rd. They think they have him hung up, but Bates comes in to score easily on Gedman. Brewers led the American League in stolen base. They lead 2-0 now. Let's get back to you.
Thanks, John. A lot happening early around Major League Baseball tonight. Todd Benzinger stands in. He's singled to right in the 1st. Larkin at 2nd with 1 out. Ball 1.
Again, notice a lot of pitches up in the strike zone. That good tight fastball you talked about was the cut fastball. Now he does have 4 pitches: slider, a curveball, a changeup, and a fastball. And actually, you could add it and say that he has 5 because he'll put a little more pressure in the middle finger and cut the ball in. It'll sail in, gives the hitter the illusion it's going to be straight, and all of a sudden it darts into the right-handed batter. And that's what he got Eric Davis out with.
You pitchers have all the advantage.
They do.
Grounded in the hole. Blauser diving and coming up with it. Larkin unable to advance. It'll go as an infield base hit, and a fine play by Jeff Blauser.
Well, good base running by Larkin because he doesn't know if Blauser is going to be able to catch the ball and maybe throw him out at third. And then a great play by Jeff Blauser. He thinks Larkin's probably running. Right here he says, I want to keep a run from scoring. So he dives. Not only does he catch the ball, and probably his intention is to at least knock it down. And again, Larkin is probably going to go to third once the ball goes by Jeff Blauser.
But in that situation, Larkin correct in waiting and seeing if the ball is going to go through. Now the Reds have runners at first and second with 1 out for Paul O'Neill, who struck out swinging to end the first inning. Hit off the end of the bat to short, cut off by Presley, who goes to second in time for the force there. And it'll be first and third with 2 out. A fielder's choice for O'Neill as Larkin moves to third.
Well, what makes a good pitcher? Good defense. This ball not hit particularly hard, but what made it difficult, it's right off the end of the bat. Chalk it up. Presley just dives to his left. It's going to be a very tough play for Blauser to make because he's going to have to go all the way back. In fact, he just probably would have put the ball in his pocket. But Presley gets the out right there from the knees. Good strong throw to Mark Lemke.
Got the out because of the effort.
Yeah, last year Blauser would have been at third and Andres Thomas the shortstop. He had 29 errors. Not as good a defense.
Joe Oliver, the Cincinnati catcher, takes low and away, ball 1. Oliver with a double to right and a run scored in the second.
So we'll see how Derek Lilliquist pitches to Joe Oliver. Last time, pretty good pitch, but it ended up to be a double fly ball that eluded Dale Murphy in the right field corner. See if he changes the pattern. Watch where Jody Davis goes. Nope, right after him.
And Oliver fouled it back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the thing that impresses me about Lilliquist and Browning is that they are no-nonsense pitchers. They're going to go right after you. I mean, a lot of times when bad things happen, and they do happen, especially to Derek Lilliquist, you have a tendency not to throw the ball over the plate.
Start to nitpick a little.
Oh, yeah.
Another one foul back, and the count 1-2. Cincinnati with runners at first and third and 2 out here in the third. The game is tied 2-2. Larkin at third and O'Neill at first. Another foul, and the count remains 1-2.
So the pattern has changed. He's probably only going to throw fastballs to Joe Oliver when he has to. Gets ahead of the count. We've seen the screwball, seen the curveball.
Now we're going to see a different ball. And there you see how he has been around the plate.
You know, almost 70% strikes there. But again, in bad locations early in the game, up in the strike zone. More effective when he keeps it down.
Big curveball gets him. Outstanding job of pitching to Oliver by Derek Lilliquist. His 4th strikeout, and it's still 2-2.
At Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, the Phillies hosting the St. Louis Cardinals, and the man many people like to be the Rookie of the Year, catcher Todd Seal. Here's one reason why. Crook gives it a look, but it's gone. A 2-run shot. It's 2-0 the Cardinals lead. Let's get back to Jim and Steve.
Thanks, John. Right here we go to the bottom of the third, tied at 2. And Lonnie Smith fouling him back for strike 1. Lonnie flying deep to left to end the first inning. Takes high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grounded to third. Sabo with a good pickup. One away. Chris Sabo with the trademark goggles. The winner of the Spuds McKenzie look-alike contest.
One thing about Browning, it's easy to play third base. He throws a lot of strikes. And number two, he pitches most of the right-hand hitters away. So when you're a third baseman, you're leaning to your left.
Nick Asaski with a flying ball to center field. Take about a week to come down, but Eric Davis is there when it does, and there are 2 out. So here's Dale Murphy with 2 out, nobody on. He tied the game up in the second with a 2-run home run, his first of the year. Passing Lee May on the all-time home run list, now with 355 home runs. And he takes strike 1.
We talked about the low batting averages, also 43 games in May and June without a home run. And he's no different than any player that gets a little bit of age on him. You have to do it from year to year. They forget, as you said, what you did last year or the year before or 5 years ago.
1 ball, 1 strike. Let's go back and look at the home run. Murphy drove it way out of here.
Yeah, good pitch to a lot of hitters up out over the plate, belt high, is not a good pitch to Dale Murphy. Just too strong.
This one fouled back out of play, 1-2. Murph's in rarefied air with the great Mike Schmidt, player of the 80s, if there was one. And Murphy just a few home runs behind Schmidt for the decade. Driven on the ground and through the hole by Duncan for a base hit to right field. A 2-out single by Murphy, and he's 2 for 2. Fifth hit for Atlanta. And the batter will be Jim Presley. Presley grounded to third his first time up. 2 for 12 so far this year.
Both of those hits coming yesterday. A notorious streak hitter.
Base hit to center field.
And that's just about where he likes it. He's got it's like a batting tee groove. You throw him a breaking ball, you throw him a low fastball, but from just above the knees to right in the middle of the thighs, that is his groove. Low ball hitter. That ball again right in the middle of the plate. Should have been hit hard, and it was.
It was hit hard enough.
Oh, smoked. Again, you know, you look, it's what, about a quarter of an inch, the difference between a line drive and a home run. That was a home run swing, but he hit the ball too squarely. I don't think he's complaining now.
No. Jody Davis had a single to left his first time up, and he takes one in the dirt for ball 1. Jody figures to play a lot against left-handed pitching with Ernie Whitt, newly acquired this year by Atlanta, the left-handed hitting catcher. Hard hit ball down the line, but it is hooking foul. Well, I tell you, when you really hit a ball hard and pull it, you can tell because it's got that spin on it that makes it hook farther to the left. He hit that ball a ton.
Yeah, if we were playing at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore at 309, that might have been a home run.
Would have hooked around the foul
around the pole instead of in front of it. But Davis having I mean, really what he called a miserable year at 169 last year, had a chance to come home. Buck Nixon, who we just had a chance to see.
Grounded at third. Sabo will go to Duncan at second for the force play on Presley, and the inning is over. Atlanta does not score. They pick up 2 hits and leave 2 here in the third. We're still tied at 2 after 3. Here in Atlanta, a 2-2 tie. Cincinnati jumping out on top in the first and adding a run in the second. Atlanta on a 2-run home run by Dale Murphy, tying it up. And Mariano Duncan will lead it off for the Reds. Tom Browning, and then the top of the order, Chris Sabo, here in the fourth. Duncan with an RBI double to right in the second inning. strike at the knee. 0-1. Mariano's got a new haircut this year.
No hair.
It's all on top. He used to be hanging out of his batting helmet. Breaking ball out in front of it, and he taps it to short. Good play by Blauser. 1 away. Let's go back to the Baseball Tonight studio and John Saunders.
Dwight Gooden had a daughter born today. That means Gary Sheffield has a new cousin. But not all is good for Gary Sheffield as he boots this grounder by Barrett. Gedman scores the run to put the Red Sox on the board. It's now 2-1. Let's get back to Steve and Jim.
Derek Lilliquist now faces Tom Browning with 1 out and nobody on, and Browning grounds it the other way. Mark Lemke over in an easy play for out number 2. Well, a reminder that there's more baseball coming your way on ESPN this Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Sunday Night Baseball. John Miller and Joe Morgan will be at the Big O in Montreal, where the favored National League East New York Mets take on the Montreal Expos. The regular season debut of Sunday Night Baseball here on ESPN.
I saw John last night. He looked a little nervous.
Big night. Big.
Mainly that's because it was 38 degrees and raining in Kansas City and he didn't have an umbrella.
He was shaking. He was freezing, shivering. Sabo with one that goes up the grain silo and finally comes back down to a Sasky. And the inning is over as Lilliquist retires the Reds in order here in the 4th. Still tied 2-2.
Back to Fulton County Stadium in a moment, but first let's check around the rest of the National League. The Mets won this afternoon in 10. Chicago and Pittsburgh, it's into the bottom of the 4th now. St. Louis still with a 2-0 lead in the 5th. The Dodgers and Houston in the bottom of the 1st. Let's get back to Atlanta.
Right here as we go to the bottom of the 4th, Mark Lemke leads it off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Lemke, Lilliquist, and McDowell scheduled here in the 4th. Down low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Lemke with an infield base hit off of the ankle or foot of Tom Browning. And he hits another one up the middle. Good play by Larkin, and what an arm. 1 away.
Medial collateral ligament problems in his elbow, and last year at the All-Star game in the competition tore it on a throw in the competition. Right here you see the great range and good hands, nice soft hands right here, and you'll see the fast feet that infielders have to have, setting himself and a good strong overhand delivery to the first baseman.
A strike to Benzinger and a strike to Derek Lilliquist.
Now, before he signed his contract this year, Barry Larkin, they made him go under the stadium in Riverfront Stadium and throw for him to make sure he was all right. He said, "Are you satisfied? I'll even want a bigger raise."
Lilliquist up the middle, and Larkin can't get this one. He flags it down but can't come up with it, and Derek Lilliquist is 2 for 2. I'll tell you, here's a pitcher Jim Palmer can be proud of. Swings the bat well.
Yeah, we told you, DH in college, about the top of the thumb of the glove, and another pitcher at first.
That's the 7th hit for Atlanta.
We'll monitor his speed very closely.
And we won't have to be working too hard at it.
This has one of those, normal lead is about 1.5 step. If he went 1.5 step back towards first, he'd be in foul territory. One of those don't get picked off leads.
One of those I'm not going to get picked right. Browning now working to O to be McDowell. Foul tip, strike 1, 2 and 1. That's not the kind of swing you want to have when you're ahead 2 balls, no strikes.
No, the 2 big outs that Tom Browning's been able to get tonight was McDowell with a couple of guys on. In the second, he struck him out and then struck out Jeff Blauser. And of course, that is what Tom Browning's all about. Constantly leads the National League in innings pitched. Right close up there, starts. Tenacious guy, not great stuff. Throws a lot of home runs, but will keep you in the game because he battles you.
McDowell pops it up and is going to be out of play behind the Cincinnati dugout. The count 2-2.
But the one thing I think that's going to be the difference between O.W. McDowell being an above average major leaguer and a guy that was very good in college is that 2-0 pitch. If he ducks it and the count goes to 3-0, he walks, he loads the bases, or he goes down to first base, or he does his job. He still hasn't had that leadoff mentality. And when he gets it, he can run the bases. Again, we talked about what a good center fielder is. He's got a home run mentality. And he's not a home run hitter.
Nope. If you get that from your leadoff hitter, it's a bonus, not expected. 1 out, 1 on, and the 2-2 pitch lofted to center field. Davis coming in. Long way to come, and it's the left fielder, Billy Hatcher, who makes the play. And Lilliquist diving back into first, and he may have hurt himself.
The only thing he hurt was his pride.
He was playing it halfway, and halfway for Derek turned out to be a long way.
Well, Eric Davis did not pick this ball up. You see the late jump. Right now, he is hoping that Billy Hatcher will get there. And again, we talked about the acquisition of Billy Hatcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Good speed will help them both offensively and here defensively. It's fast enough to get under that fly ball. Yeah. Tom Glavine on the left. John Smoltz with his mustache.
They're all over Derek Lilliquist. Jeff Blauser, the hitter, swings and misses in the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Blauser has grounded to third and struck out swinging. Browning got him as the final out of the inning in the second with the bases loaded. The high fastball missed. 1 and 2.
That's the one thing about Tom Browning. You're so used to seeing fastballs as a hitter, you get in that mode. You say, I'm going to look for the fastball, and invariably you swing at balls out of the strike zone. Want to get the bat going, and pretty good movement there. And a pretty good pitch right there, right on the corner.
Man, might have even turned it over a little bit. He gets Blauser for the second time, and he has struck out 3.
In Pittsburgh, the Pirates hosting the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs unveiling their new away uniforms. Bob walked to Ryan Sandberg. This one has gone in a hurry. It's a 2-run home run. Ryan Sandberg, errorless string at 93 games right now. Let's get it back to Steve and Jim.
Thanks, John. Right here, it's 2-2 as we go to the top half of the 5th inning. We're going to take this move and put it on a videotape cassette and use it for the sliding video at the next clinic that we have.
Yeah, Derek, how'd you tear your rotator cuff? Well, it was that slide back in 90. It really was. I think they were giving him a little bit too much credit when we say that it was a slide. It was more like a flop, a lunging flop.
That was a flop. The kind of pitcher who likes to get his uniform dirty.
And did.
He's lucky he didn't hurt himself.
That'll make you really. That will make the highlight film.
I'll have to check and see what the East German judge gave him on that dive. Billy Hatcher leads off the 5th inning for the Reds. 2-2 tie here in Atlanta. Hatcher 0 for 2. Takes high ball 1. He has fly deep to left and grounded to short. A strike on the inside half. 1 ball, 1 strike. Barry Larkin and Eric Davis to follow Hatcher here in the 5th. There's Larkin on deck. A fastball skied to right field. Murphy over in plenty of time for out number 1. Back to the Baseball Tonight studio and John Saunders.
Check around the American League now. Cleveland beat Chicago. That was this afternoon. The Yankees still with a 1-0 lead in the 4th. Baltimore blasting out Detroit is 4-0 in the 4th. Milwaukee with a 3-1 lead over Boston. Toronto and Kansas City have just started. Oakland and Seattle later, as well as Minnesota and California. Let's get it back to you.
1 out, nobody on for Barry Larkin, who has been on fire so far this year, and there hasn't been a bucket of water around tonight. He's 2 for 2 with a single and a double. 8 for 16 on the year.
And of course, a key out. You have Davis on deck. You'd like to have him come up with 2 outs, nobody on, because then he's more prone to go for a home run. So even though it's early in the season, and as you look as another strike, you look in terms of on a normal game, he'd be thinking of maybe my crucial inning will come in the 7th or 8th where I have to go through the middle of the lineup. Here with an abbreviated spring training, it's come in the 5th inning. If he can get Larkin out, make some good pitches, a little bit easier to pitch to Davis.
2 strikes the count. And a fastball lined fouled outside the right field line. Still 0-2 to Larkin. Sometimes it's easy to forget that game situations, and you have to define what that might be, don't always come in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. They come, especially if you're talking about a tight 2-2 game, as Pinella gets a doubleheader there.
And also when you're only going to be throwing 80 or 90 pitches.
You got to go 5 innings to win the game, and he's in the 5th right now, tied. He jams Larkin and gets him to pop it up on the left side. Presley coming in for out number 2.
It just shows you the importance of pitching ahead. I used to work with Tim McCarver talking about getting the first out, getting the first strike, but again, a classic example. If the count's 2-0, Barry Larkin would look for what he wants to out over the plate. This time with a count 0-2, where there were 2 balls and 2 strikes, he had to swing at the pitch just off the corner, and he pops it up.
Well, he has not, he being Derek Lilliquist, he has not thrown a ball, a called ball, since the 3rd inning. He's thrown 11 straight strikes. And of course, as soon as we mention that, he throws ball 1. 2 out, nobody on for Davis, whom Lilliquist has struck out twice. Not this time. A deep drive to center. Otoby McDowell just short of the fence for out number 3. The Reds go in order here in the 5th inning, and Lilliquist and the Reds still tied at 2.
At Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, John Tudor, what a job he is doing for the St. Louis Cardinals. Facing Dalton here, gets him to ground to Akindo, then covers first. Tudor has a 1-hitter through 5. Let's get it back to you.
Here, Lonnie Smith swinging at the first pitch and popping out to Benzinger in foul territory for out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, in between innings, you said this game is going rather quickly. Well, it's gone to, because Tom Browning throws nothing but strikes. He's had a couple of walks. Lilliquist has not walked anybody. Last year, Tom Browning on July 4th, a 1-hour and 44-minute game, and then a 1-hour and 48-minute game. 2 fastest. There's another pop-up.
And Asaski helping the time frame as he hits the first pitch, and Larkin squeezes it for out number 2.
Yeah, you would think that Scott McGregor is on the mound. You know, left-hander, the pitch for the Orioles. Why take a lot of pitches? You know he's going to be around the plate. Let's go up there and aggressive attitude. And what it does invariably is hitters get themselves out.
Absolutely. The more pitches you take as a hitter, the better hitter you become.
Well, one of the guys that takes more pitches than anybody in baseball, and that's a guy up in Boston, Wade Boggs. You know, he's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes.
No.
He's not afraid to see what the pitcher has.
Dale Murphy takes a strike. Murphy is 2 for 2 with a 2-run home run in the 2nd and a single to right in the 3rd. Batting here with 2 out and nobody on in a 2-2 tie, bottom of the 5th inning. A looper into short right field. Duncan is out. It's an easy play for out number 3. So in essence, 3 pop-ups here induced by Browning. And the Braves go in order here in the 5th. We're still tied at 2. Stadium, ESPN's Friday Night Baseball Tonight doubleheader. Steve Zabriskie and Jim Palmer with you as we go to the 6th inning. Cincinnati and Atlanta tied at 2. Todd Benzinger, the hitter, taking strike 1. Benzinger 2 for 2. He singled to right in the 1st, had an infield base hit in the 3rd. Down low, 1-1. A drive up the middle for a base hit, and Benzinger is 3 for 3. Hit number 8 for the Reds, and they have the leadoff hitter on with nobody out here in the 6th inning.
You can already see the effect of Lou Piniella on this offense. Situation there, good hitting count. Lilliquist behind him, not trying to pull the ball, hit it where it's pitched. Look for a pitch you can handle, and you're looking right there at one of the great hitters of hitting the ball all over the field. I mean, inside the first base bag, then you hang a curveball and he hits it in the seats in left field.
Paul O'Neill with a big cut fouls it off for strike one. O'Neill has struck out swinging and reached on a fielder's choice. He's 0 for 2.
You know, you kidded about pitchers had all the advantages. They do. A 300 hitter, you really make 7 out of 10 outs. So the pitcher does have the advantage, but there's little things you can do as a hitter to take that advantage away.
Inside, 1-1.
No, go the other way. Be disciplined. Make the pitcher throw strikes. Very few guys can pitch within the strike zone. Most guys would like to throw enough strikes to get you to swing at balls. Expand the strike zone. Help get yourself out.
And you see it all the time. You see how a guy who has the potential to be a good hitter could be so much better if he would be a smarter.
You really need to
hitter.
sit him in the sands for 10 days and say, just watch yourself hit. It can't happen. It makes a lot of guys better hitters.
Foul back out of play. The count's still 1-2. Benzinger loves to hit against Lilliquist. Benzinger coming into tonight, 11 hits in 14 at-bats against Derek Lilliquist.
And where was the pitch that he hit up the middle? Right down the middle. Lilliquist knows it. Derek certainly knows he doesn't make good pitches. Benzinger knows, hey, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to get a good pitch to hit. And if you're 11 for 14, you're getting that pitch and hitting it.
Benzinger 3 for 3 now. O'Neill with a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. Down low, 2-2. Benzinger at first with nobody out. We're tied at 2 in the 6th inning. Curveball popped up. Mark Lemke underneath it. 1 away. Coming into this inning, Derek Lilliquist had thrown 67 pitches through the first 5, and 48 of those were strikes. So 67, not that many pitches, and a very high percentage of them being in the strike zone.
And most of them up in the strike zone. You know, they said he sinks the ball. I haven't seen a lot of sinkers. What he's done the last couple of innings is go to his breaking ball and his changeup.
And a lot of fly ball outs as Benzinger draws a throw. Here's Joe Oliver, who's 1 for 2. He doubled and scored in the 2nd, struck out swinging in the 3rd. And he hits a high pitch up the middle. Blauser to Lemke and over to Asaski, and the inning is over on the first double play of the game. 1 hit, but nobody left here in the 6th inning for the Cincinnati Reds. It's still a 2-2 tie.
At Tiger Stadium in Detroit, the Baltimore Orioles were cruising with a 4-0 lead for Pete Harnisch, but he faces Gary Ward here with 2 aboard, right up in his wheelhouse, and Ward takes it deep and out of there, a 3-run shot. It's now a 4-3 game. Let's get it back to Steve and Jim.
Orioles hanging on there, and here it's tied 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Jim Presley leading it off for the Braves. Presley 1 for 2 with a ground out to 3rd and a single to center. Jody Davis and Mark Lemke to follow against Tom Browning. 1-1. We talked about Lilliquist's pitch count. Browning has thrown 70 through the first 5, and again the majority strikes. Grounded into the hole. Larkin has a bad hop go off his arm. Hatcher chasing it down. Presley going to 2nd, and he's in there.
Actually, what happens is the ball that takes a bad hop comes off the heel of the glove, turns a single into a double. Larkin is not going to be able to make a play. He's already on the grass. And Presley, who is not particularly fast, good base running, just keeps on going. Billy Hatcher trying to cover, has to cut back, and you have a leadoff double.
That's the 8th hit for Atlanta. And Jody Davis takes ball 1.
Going back to the thought on Jody Davis, gets traded at the end of 1988 down here to Atlanta, where he's from. And Russ Nixon said he just didn't look like he was motivated. And he said, you know what, Jody's saying, hey, that's really not what happened. He said, I tried to get off to a good start, got off to a miserable start, ended up hitting 169.
And he pops this one up in foul territory. Benzinger over, makes the play. Presley bluffing at second, but he's not going anywhere. One out. That's one of the manager's toughest jobs, and certainly for Russ Nixon with a team that's been in the doldrums like Atlanta. How do you motivate each individual guy and the team collectively at the same time?
Well, also, especially when you come into this town and you read Braves off to a bad start. Now, they're 1 win, 2 losses, but there's worse ahead. Jody Davis said, we had a meeting, and we said we're not going to let this stuff affect us. You're looking right there at the pitching staff, and they're going to have to lead them. Yeah, Presley will hit more home runs. Zabriskie will hit more home runs. Maybe Murphy will have a good year. Maybe Blauser will be a better shortstop than Andres Thomas. But the bottom line, their pitching's good. They'll be in more games. They will take the 63 wins and expand on that number.
Mark Lemke with a drive to left field. Hatcher turning and running, and a good play by Billy Hatcher. Presley playing it halfway. Back to second. Now with 2 out. Well, that's what you have to do, and that's why a good outfielder plays shallow. You can turn around and go.
Most outfielders play deep, Steve, mainly because they come in better than they go back. But a good outfielder, number one, is going to come down. I mean, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. A good outfielder knows where the ball is going to come down. He's not going to run across and then back. He'll turn, go to the place where the ball is coming down. That's exactly what Billy Hatcher did. And also, he's playing Mark Lemke right, a guy that's not a particularly powerful hitter. He plays him shallow, makes him hit the ball over his head, playing percentage baseball.
Good approach, good result. Now the hitting star, Derek Lilliquist, 2 for 2. Not only is he pitching well after settling down, Presley chased back at second, but he's had a couple of base hits against Browning.
Yeah, I knew he'd be the hitting star of this game. I sensed that.
Down low, 1-1.
And the reason that Browning is being aware of Presley, again, he's not going to go anywhere. Only where he's going to try to go is home on a base hit. Does not run well. Give your outfield a chance to throw somebody out. Keep him a step closer.
Fastball missed. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Again, what kind of pitcher you're going to be, what kind of year you're going to have, depends on situations like this. Man in scoring position, 2 outs. Do you get him out or do you give up the big hit?
Fly ball to center. Eric Davis with an easy play, and the inning is over. So the leadoff double, Jim Presley stranded at second. 1 hit, 1 left. Still at the end of 6, 2-2. Steve Zabriskie and Jim Palmer back with you with Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium as we go to the 7th inning. Still tied 2-2. Then Derek Lilliquist, who made the last out in the bottom half of the 6th, is back out there on the mound for his 7th inning of work. And a reminder that live auto racing returns to ESPN tomorrow night. Larry Newber, Steve Chassie, and Gary Lee bring you Saturday Night Thunder. You can hear it rumbling now. The USAC Midgets come to Ascot Park for an exciting evening of auto racing live beginning at 9 Eastern tomorrow night here on ESPN.
You used to do midget auto racing, didn't you? I could just see you wedged in one of those smaller cars.
Wrong Hall of Famer.
You right that, settle down, use the breaking ball. Ball's a little bit lower in the strike zone. Still a couple of mistakes up, but doing what he did best. Again, under 2 walks an inning, led the National League in least amount of walks.
Ball 1 to Mariano Duncan, who is 1 for 2. Duncan with an RBI double to right in the 2nd, grounded out to short in the 4th. Ball 2.
Yeah, Duncan is really going to help Cincinnati's defense. A former shortstop, great range, was a switch hitter, natural right-handed hitter that because of his speed, he once stole 46 bases for the Dodgers back in '85. They said, let's turn you around. Well, I'll tell you what, he tried to hit a lot of home runs, hit up, I think, about 8 triples in spring training one year and thought he was a power hitter. Now
he's abandoned that. There's Joe Baver warming up in the Atlanta bullpen, who has shed about 20 pounds during the offseason.
Yeah, great start last year. As you look at Phil Niekro, over 300 wins, the bullpen coach.
Duncan taking high and away. And on 4 straight pitches, he walks, and there's a rarity and the first walk of the night given up by Lilliquist.
Again, going back to a game that you did on Wednesday where Ballard pitched very well for 4 innings. His first start, you could see him lose it. And again, I guess if you're Russ Nixon, you got to say, here's a guy that has not walked anybody. He's even had a 3-ball count, and he's walked somebody in four pitches.
Throw to first. Duncan, of course, a threat to run, but the Braves could be trying to see if, in fact, Browning is going to be bunting here. One would certainly expect it. Presley way in on the grass at third, but he squares and then swings away, fouling it off for strike 1.
Well, that's a good way to thwart the bunt defense.
Good way to make a third baseman's life pass before his eyes, too.
Jim Presley back about 8 or 9 feet now, saying, I'd like to play out the season.
Now's a good time to bunt. This time Browning squares and takes a pitch out, but Duncan was not running. So Sam Perlazzo will give a new set of signs. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And a new set of coaches in New York. Sam being with the Mets along with Bill Robinson, now working for ESPN.
Browning bunts a tough pitch, and Lilliquist will tag him out as Duncan moves down to second on the sacrifice with 1 out. So let's go back to the Baseball Tonight studio and John.
Well, Steve, the Cubs and the Pirates, and Greg Maddux is off to a great start for the Cubs here. There with a nice hook, strikes out Jay Bell. A 1-hitter through 6. They're now in the 7th. Chicago on the Ryan Sandberg home run, up 2-0, back to Atlanta.
You like those new Cubs road uniforms? They look like they're out of the 40s or something.
Yeah, I think Don Zimmer likes the way they're playing. Got them shut out into the 7th inning.
The uniforms could turn out to be a good luck charm. 1 out on the sacrifice. Duncan now at second for the top of the order, and Chris Sabo, who is 1 for 3 with a leadoff home run in the first. And he went up the bat handle but took high ball 1.
You know, it's annoying. I've been reading a lot of the columnists, especially in this town, have said, in fact, they refer to the 5-inning no-hitter that Nolan Ryan had as an unvaliant effort because he left after 5 innings. He threw 101 pitches, averaged over 20 pitches per inning. These pitchers tonight aren't doing that. They're not that type of pitchers. Excuse me. The same with Maddux, who we just saw. He's the type of guy that's a control pitcher. But for somebody to say that Ryan should have gone farther in his first start after throwing 101 pitches with a no-hitter obviously doesn't know much about the game, nor does he care about Nolan Ryan's career. He's 43.
That's right. After a shortened spring training, and the guy's 43 years old, he's still throwing 98 miles an hour. Give me a break. Sabo fouling it out of play down the right field line. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Yeah, that's Langston and Witt combining on the no-hitter just the other night. I can just see Doug Rader leaving Mark Langston, who was out of gas in the 7th, out there in the 8th with a 1-0 lead, and they lose the ball game because he's trying for the no-hitter. It's senseless.
Absolutely. And I was at that game in Texas. Nolan Ryan was obviously out of gas. I would say it was a valiant effort on Ryan's part to pitch 5 innings of no-hit ball.
Yeah, a guy that's thrown about 80,000 pitches in his career. He's 43, 5 no-hitters, going to the Hall of Fame, 5,000 strikeouts, and he's unvaliant.
3-1. Right in there. 3-2. Sabo apparently looking for something other than the fastball.
It almost looks like he's taken in a non-taking situation. We've already seen what Sabo can do. He took the second pitch of the game and hammered it over the left field wall.
Billy Hatcher on deck. 1 out here in the 7th. Mariano Duncan at second. Outside by inches, and Sabo walks. Second walk of the game and of the inning, and Russ Nixon just popped out of the Atlanta dugout. So runners at first and second with 1 out. Baber is ready should the call come.
I got to think that Russ Nixon's going to go to the bullpen. We're going to talk to most managers. They said we'd like to get our pitchers a lot of work, but the primary thing, especially when you're 1-2 and trying to get off to a good start, is to win. Derek Lilliquist has pitched a heck of a game. Runs early, but settled down, and it's obviously his control is not as pinpoint as it was. So they'll go to the bullpen, and we'll be back after these words.
Joe Baber into the game to face Billy Hatcher with runners at first and second and 1 out in the 7th inning of a 2-2 tie. Hatcher 0 for 3. Down low. 2 balls, no strike.
Yeah, Baber last year really a tale of 2 pitchers. The first half, the second half, saved 18 out of his first 21 save opportunities, put on a lot of weight, but did not have a good second half. Mike Stanton, the young left-hander, is now the stopper, and they're looking around for another one, trying to make a trade possibly with the Seattle Mariners.
Breaking ball on the inside corner, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Lou Piniella, the manager of the Reds, with a lot of options here, but he chooses to go with Hatcher. Last year, Billy only hitting just over 200. See the average, but 200 against right-handed pitchers, about 270 against lefties.
Way outside, and it's 3-1 to Hatcher, who was 0 for 3 tonight against the left-hander Lilliquist.
One thing Lou Piniella likes about his ball club, maybe a little bit better, younger bench, but he also has the experienced Ken Griffey, young Hal Morris, Herm Winningham, people like that he could have gone to in this situation.
Runners go. The throw to third, not in time to get Duncan. And the Reds pull the double steal to move runners to second and third with 1 out. Hatcher swung and missed at the ball, so it's 3-2 now to Billy.
It's not a bad throw by Jody Davis. He has to throw over Billy Hatcher. You see him right there. But again, Jim Presley way in front of the bag. He did not anticipate the steal. He's looking for a bunt or actually a ground ball or whatever. Lack of communication. Jeff Blauser didn't let him know he's not back to make the tag.
And it's ball 4. So now the bases will be loaded with 1 out here in the 7th inning. And that is the 3rd walk of the inning. The first, of course, given up by Baber. Lilliquist threw 87 pitches, going 6 1/3 innings, charged with 2 runs on 8 hits, struck out 4, walked 2, and he is responsible for 2 of the 3 base runners out there. And you see Russ Nixon telling him how he wants the infield position.
That 3rd in, 1st in, telling Presley to come home, get the force at home for the 2nd out, and maybe turn a double play if they can. And the same with Nick Kosaski over at 1st.
Barry Larkin, the hitter, and he takes the fastball. It looked pretty good, but it's ball 1.
Again, the strike zone hasn't been very big tonight, and that doesn't discredit Jerry Lane mainly, but we have 2 left-handers that they haven't not been taking a lot of pitches against. But right here, if you're a pitcher, you want that pitch. If you're a hitter, you want it to be a ball.
Ball 2. This is the 2nd grand slam situation we've had in the game. The Braves were in one earlier. Atlanta pitchers allowed 5 grand slam home runs last year. And Larkin out in front, 2 balls, no strikes. Fouls this one off out of play, 2-1.
Yeah, good pitch right there, right on the corner. Larkin looking fastball, had a pretty good swing, but that's just a quality pitch, 2-0. What Baber has done, he's gotten behind with that knuckle curveball. See right there, the good fastball right on the corner.
Another fastball away, in the air to right field. Murphy coming on, makes the catch. Duncan tagging and coming for home. The relay not in time, and the Reds lead it 3-2. It'll be a sacrifice fly and an RBI for Barry Larkin.
What makes Cincinnati such a good offensive ball club is speed. Speed at second, speed at shortstop, and very quick release. And Mariano Duncan, we talked about the 46 stolen bases, just beats this ball. Now along the way, as Zabriskie cuts it off, does not react well. I assume the ball was up the line. Otherwise, he wouldn't have cut it off.
It's hard to tell from our angle, but when he cut the ball off, Zabriskie was standing right on the baseline.
So the throw was up the line. Again, Murphy did his job. He got a very quick release, only about a step and a half, but not a very good throw from shallow right field.
High to Eric Davis, ball one.
Again, look where Nick Zabriskie is. Again, home plate is to your left. Again, didn't react. I guess the ball short hopping him. He got just trouble coming up with it.
There's a strike right in there. 1 ball, 1 strike. What may have happened too is that Jody Davis may have hollered at him to cut it a little too late, and Zabriskie had to sort of stab at the ball. Davis with a fly ball to right center field and deep. McDowell and Murphy both over. Murphy has it, and the inning is over. 3 walks in the inning, 1 run scoring on a sacrifice fly, 2 stolen bases on a double steal, and the Reds now lead it 3-2.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Parts Plus, for name brands you can rely on, go to Parts Plus, American family of auto parts stores. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Otoby McDowell trying to bunt his way on, does so, and now he's headed for second. He got the ball by the pitcher, Tom Browning, and then the throw was wide at first, allowing him to go to second. I'm assuming it'll be scored a base hit and an error, and the Braves have the tying run at second with nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th.
Okay, here's that leadoff mentality. Trailing by a run, what do I do best? I bunt. Great speed. And the shovel throw by Duncan just by Benzinger. Excellent bunt. Nice effort from Mariano Duncan. And then all the bad things happen if you're a Cincinnati fan.
Error on Duncan, first error of the ball game, and the 8th hit for the Braves, and the batter Jeff Blauser. Ground ball to short, and good base running by McDowell to make it to third on a ball hit off the end of the bat, where he is now, with 1 out, able to score on something other than a base hit.
Yeah, better base running than bat handling. You'd want to hit the ball to the right side, but Blauser just hits a high chopper, and again, Otomy McDowell with excellent speed sizes up everything very quickly and goes to third base.
And that brings Lou Piniella out of the dugout. He has Rob Dibble warming in the bullpen. And there is the hard throwing right-hander, who is by mentality maybe more left-hander than right-hander.
You said that. He's also 6'4".
So while a pitching change is made by the Reds, and Lou Piniella will take timeout. Steve Zabriskie and Jim Palmer back here in Atlanta, and except really, James, for the first couple of innings, the game has been pretty much as we expected. Pitching dominated.
Yeah, quick game, not a lot of walks. The pitcher's coming right after the hitters, and talking about a guy that's going to come right after the hitters. Rod Dibble is that type of guy. I mean, 141 strikeouts and only 99 innings last year.
And when you say hard throwing,
oh yeah. They say 97, 98, and on some radar guns, see the numbers, outstanding. Did have some arm problems, elbow problems, whatever, but at 6'4", 235, all arms and legs, throws on some guns 100 miles per hour. You don't see a guy with this kind of velocity very often.
Oldby McDowell at third, the infield in, and Lonnie Smith, the hitter, who takes high and inside, ball one. Tom Browning threw 79 pitches, 56 of them for strikes, going out after 6 1/3. Lonnie has flied out, grounded out, and popped out. Did he go too far? The appeal, no, says Bob Engel. He held up, and the count 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, it's actually 2 balls and no strikes. I made the mistake of looking at the scoreboard.
Yeah, 2 pitches, 2 sliders. Sliders over 90 miles per hour also.
Fastball fouled off out of play, 2-1.
You better get it started if you're a hitter.
Well, the gun that we have on him just clocked that pitch at 91 miles an hour. He's not loose yet.
Well, it's a nice night, a little bit cooler, a little cooler than Florida. Certainly not cooler than Kansas City last night at 38 degrees.
And Dibble going without the sleeves under his uniform top. Another fastball fouled off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. Oldby McDowell at third, and Nick Eseski is on deck. Cincinnati leading 3-2. Strike 3.
On a slider. Again, all arms and legs. He falls off to the left. You see the body come first. You got to look fastball because he throws so hard. And watch this ball look like a fastball and just dart and dip. A slider looks exactly like a fastball till right at the end. You think it's going to stay straight, and a tight dot you don't pick up, and the ball just slides away from you. That's why they call it a slider.
It was what Ted Williams said hastened his retirement. The advent of the slider.
I'm not so sure about that. Well, he may have said that, but he's being modest.
Yes.
I think old age is about the only thing that hastened his retirement.
It was an 86-mile-an-hour slider, only slightly slower than the fastball. Esaski 1 for 3. And he gets jammed with a fastball and hits it mile in the air. Joe Oliver back near the stands won't have a play. It's in about the 2nd row. 1 ball, 1 strike to Esaski. Big strikeout of Lonnie Smith as the Braves had the tying run at third with 1 out. And Smith needing to make contact, but Dibble eliminating that in one quick hurry.
Much better hitter, 50 points higher. Ducks on the pond when it counts. That's how you drive in 108 runs.
Nothing like a 2-out base hit, and that's what he's looking for here. A strike at the knees, and it's 1-2. Esaski again, as he did earlier, disagrees with Jerry Lane.
Again, the home run mentality. You know, Smith struck out 95 times last year. Esaski 117. Murphy in this lineup over 120 times. Presley didn't get that many at bats, but he does it almost every year.
Good slider again from Dibble, and he strikes out the 2 hitters he faces with the tying run at third here in the 7th. Still a 3-2 Reds lead.
Let's check around the rest of the National League before we get you back to Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. The Mets won this afternoon. The Cubs still up 2-0. Mitch Williams now pitching in relief of Greg Maddux, who went 7 innings in the game. Cardinals and the Phillies is 3-0. The Dodgers Astros also 3-0. Back to Atlanta.
Thanks, John. Here at Cincinnati leading 3-2 as we start the 8th inning, and Todd Benzinger leading it off. Outside, ball 1 from Joe Baver. And let's go back and look at what Rob Dibble did to end the bottom half of the 7th. Got Lonnie Smith. A couple of nasty sliders. 1-1 to Benzinger, who is 3 for 3. Well, he waited on that breaking ball until it was on the ground. Fouled it off. 1-2.
Followed the ball well.
Here's Dibble's strikeout of Esaski.
And this has really been a game of strikeouts. Only 5 for Cincinnati pitchers, but back in the 2nd, the bases loaded. McDowell and Blauser strike out as you look at Rod Dibble, and then Dibble comes on and gets 2 in the 7th inning. So only 5 all night, but back-to-back twice, and that's been the difference. as far as Atlanta coming up with more runs.
Benzinger slaps it on the ground to short. Blauser up with it. One away here in the 8th inning. And the first time that they've been able to get Todd Benzinger tonight, who's 3 for 4. Well, the Reds pitching staff had some serious strikeouts the first 3 games against Houston. They had 32 strikeouts total in those 3 games. Their bullpen has only given up 1 unearned run so far this year.
Well, the left-handed stopper out of that bullpen and will be the #1 stopper. That at the moment is the guy you saw, Randy Myers. So Lou Piniella really is going to use Myers as a stopper, but he could also use Dibble on certain days to do it. You saw the kind of stuff he has. Then you got Charlton you can bring in. Middle reliefs. They all have great arms.
They've got a couple of good setup guys.
Yeah, but Danny Jackson and Jose Rijo, very important that they get healthy. Rijo out last year with a back problem. He's had some tendonitis in his shoulders, and then Danny Jackson, after being 23-8, had a big toe problem, which eventually led to a shoulder problem. Last year, a dismal year for him.
And it's high. 3-1 now to Paul O'Neill. Well, Danny Jackson told me in the clubhouse this afternoon that he hasn't felt better in a long time. His toe and his shoulder both are 100%. And he feels like he's going to be ready to go. There's Danny sitting right there with his arms in the hands in the batting gloves. O'Neill walks, and a reminder that baseball tonight, next Friday night, Jim Palmer and I will be in the beautiful Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Kansas City Royals will be taking on the Blue Jays. We'll be on at 7:30 Eastern time. Some of you will see Montreal and the Mets. That's next Friday here on ESPN. First pitch to Joe Oliver fouled off for strike 1, and O'Neill, who stole 20 bases last year, was running on the pitch.
Yeah, bad news for the Blue Jays. They only drew 36 or 34,000 in 2 games this weekend, so therefore they may not make $4 million this year.
Oh, it's a shame.
Talking about $4 million in attendance. I thought there may be an outside chance that would happen.
Well, that franchise has really turned around, and the Sky Dome hasn't hurt them any. I'm anxious to see it. I've not been there yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I hope you're not afraid of heights. You're up there in the broadcasting.
Should I bring the binoculars?
No, you just, what is it, acrophobic?
I'm not phobic in any way, so I'll be fine. I have no phobics.
I thought that would be the case.
Yes. I love heights. I want to go to the top. I want to go up to the top of the dome. Another one jams him, and he fights it off. Strike 2, 0-2. 1 out and 1 on here in the 8th inning.
I thought Bob Costas described the Sky Dome very well in the playoffs last year, where he said the game is secondary in this ballpark. You got the Hard Rock Cafe out in right center.
I like the shot of the guy sleeping on the bed in a motel room with the game going on out the window. That was my favorite.
Until Fred McGriff woke him up with a line drive off the plexiglass.
Boy, is he strong or what? O'Neill being chased back. Still an 0-2 count to Oliver. Cincinnati leading 3-2 here in the top of the 8th. And a breaking ball gets him. 2 out now with O'Neill at first. Let's go back to John in the studio.
Well, Steve, Gary Sheffield with an error earlier in the game that allowed a run to score for the Red Sox, but with Jody Reed at the plate, pops it up towards the Brewers dugout. Sheffield keeps his eye on it, makes the grab. Don Baylor, batting coach, also with a save there. It's 5-2. Back to you.
Looked like he didn't save him to me. I hope he's all right, but he made the catch anyway. Tell you what, that's dangerous.
He thought about it. Well, remember Butch Hobson used to play third base? He came over and launched himself into that same dugout down the tunnel. I thought about trying to save him, then I realized it was my right arm, and I said, better him than me. Goodbye.
See you later, Butch. He's none the worse for wear. Hadn't hurt his golf game any. Mariano Duncan, the hitter, as Piniella paces. 1 ball, no strikes. And again, and a little closer play at first. O'Neill gets chased back.
One thing Jody Davis did do well in 1989, it wasn't hitting, but he did throw out 40% of the runners. Did not play a lot. Not a particularly strong arm, but tries to get rid of the ball real quickly and hope that it's an accurate throw.
Jody's certainly got the experience, and he improved a lot defensively at Chicago. Duncan skies one to center fielder Otoby McDowell, and the inning is over. A walk and one left in the 8th for Cincinnati. The Reds still lead it 3-2. Bottom of the 8th inning in a one-run ball game. The Reds leading the Braves 3-2, and Dale Murphy to lead it off for Atlanta. And time called as the shortstop Barry Larkin came in, and now Joe Oliver, the catcher, goes out.
And I would think that would be a discussion about where do you want me to play him? What are you going to try to do with Dale Murphy? He's already homered. Then he singled to right field, both of the home run being to right center and the single between first and second. So he's up the middle a little bit, which is about where you'd think he'd play a hard thrower.
You got that one, Jim? Murphy fouled one off that hit right above us here in the broadcast
Why do I
booth.
watch the monitor?
Yeah.
Wait till we do a game in Detroit.
Oh, the ball's back
you
on you in
dare.
a hurry. Detroit, you can get murdered. Murph takes inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. We showed you the graphic earlier where Murphy was second in home runs in the 80s to Mike Schmidt. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2, as Dibble threw him a breaking ball that time. He's also second in runs batted in the 80s to Eddie Murray. And he's in rarefied air right there with those MVP awards. And he got him. 1 out here in the 8th inning. Let's go back to the Baseball Tonight studio and John.
Well, Steve, at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Jeff Parrott on in the 8th to face Tom Brunansky, and Bruno likes what he sees. Takes this one out to left field. It's a solo shot, 4-0 for the Cards. Let's take it back to Steve and Jim.
Thanks, John. Rob Dibble has struck out the first 3 hitters he has faced, and now Jim Presley stands in and takes a ball low. Presley tonight 2 for 3 with a double and a single. He grounded out back in the 2nd. Line drive on 1 hop right at Duncan, who stays with it, makes a good play for out number 2.
Well, he kind of stayed with
Boy,
it.
I tell you, he had no choice.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions. You call it tomorrow baseball. Do I want to be able to play tomorrow? So
This is smoked.
yeah, it is. This is the 3rd time Presley's hit the ball hard. Right there, you just see him knocking it down. But his vertical leap was what, about 2 feet on that ball?
Man, that was really mixed emotions. Trying to get out of the way and knock it down at the same time and not get killed in the process. Jody Davis, the hitter. Swing and a miss at the slider.
Yeah, Rod Dibble had elbow problems last year, but look at the difficulty he would have if you bunted. Of course, he might get angry. Reminds me a lot of a right-handed Mitch Williams. Mitch Williams, of course, coming over from Texas and last year having an outstanding year for the Chicago Cubs.
Dibble
Again,
almost has his back to the hitter when he finishes.
The theory for these guys is just let's get as much on the pitch as we can, and we'll worry about my infielders doing the rest.
He's ahead now of Davis, 0-2. And he gets Davis. So Dibble has struck out 4 of the 5 hitters he has faced in an inning and 2/3, and the Reds still lead it 3-2. Here's the storyline in the game, and you look down to line number 3 there. Barry Larkin's sacrifice fly, the difference in the game in the 7th inning to break the tie and give Cincinnati a 3-2 lead. The pitching has been very good since the early innings, and Dibble, of course, has been super impressive.
Certainly has. The only really glaring thing that jumps out at you, and again, this is what helped San Francisco come in here and pulverized the Atlanta Braves were walks. 3 walks. Loaded the bases in the 7th, and then the sacrifice fly by Barry Larkin.
Joe Baver on in relief, now working his second complete inning. He's gone 1 2/3, and he'll face a pinch hitter, Ken Griffey, who stands in for Rob Dibble in the top of the 9th inning, and a breaking ball for a strike. Griffey still going strong at 40. Of course, they're beginning to call him now the father of Ken Griffey Jr. instead of, isn't that your son?
Oh, a marvelous career in his own right. Of course, his son plays for the Seattle Mariners, and talk about a kid that can do a lot of things. Quick bat, good outfielder, can hit for an average. Boy, but his father can do and could do a lot of things over the course of his career.
2 strikes the count, and he holds up for ball 1, 1-2. Well, Lou Piniella told us in the clubhouse this afternoon that he really thinks that Griffey can still help this club. I mean,
as a pinch hitter, can also spot him in left field against tough righties.
He holds up again, and the count now 2-2.
And also, he's at the point of his career where he has accepted his role. Doesn't expect to play every day. Willing to sit on the bench. Knows how to come off the bench and help a ball club.
Gets a fastball and drives it to left field. Lonnie Smith right there. Out number 1. Back to the studio and John Saunders.
Well, in Houston, the Dodgers and the Astros, Bill Gullickson, who spent a year in Japan facing Mike Scioscia, gets a hit at the door, but Rafael Ramirez drops the ball. Cal Daniels comes in to score. Taylor made double play. They don't get it. It's 3-0 for the Dodgers.
Here's 3-2 Cincinnati in the top of the 9th. In the top of the order, Chris Sabo, who takes a fastball for strike 1.
And, of course, Griffey coming in to pinch hit. Did it for Rob Dibble. Most likely we'll see Randy Myers in the 9th inning for the Reds.
Sabo with a drive to left field. Lonnie Smith back, but it's out of here. What could be a huge home run now gives the Reds a 2-run lead in the 9th. Sabo's second home run of the game.
When they show the highlights of this ball game, they will show almost 2 identical swings. One a fastball, this time a hanging breaking ball, but both up in the strike zone. And again, look where the ball is, about waist high. Then again, a slider supposed to go down and away.
And a double for Billy Hatcher, who picks up his first hit. So the Reds just keep on keeping on here in the 9th inning. There has been no activity in the Atlanta bullpen. So now they start scrambling. Sabo's first 2-run home run game, or 2-home run game in his career. A solo home run to lead off the game, and a solo home run here in the 8th. A 9th, I should say. Larkin with a number down the third baseline, and Presley wisely holds on, throws back, but can't get Hatcher at third. So an infield base hit for Larkin to put runners at first and third with 1 out.
Well, when you make good pitches and they still hit them, just a little screwball that Barry Larkin will leg out. Jim Presley knows he cannot make the play, not the way Larkin can run. And a heads-up play after he catches the ball, hoping that Hatcher will come around third and have a play there. So Bruce Del Canton will come out to talk to Joe Baver
and buy a little time for Rick Lucan, who is warming up in the Atlanta bullpen now.
And when you talk about the Atlanta Braves pitching staff, you pretty much talk about the young starters and Mike Stanton out in the bullpen. They don't talk about the middlemen, and that's the really deficiency they have so far. It's only 3 games into the season, or actually 4 games into the season, but that's where they need the improvement.
Well, that's also one reason they don't talk about it a lot, is because
good point.
They haven't shown that they have much to talk about yet. Well, now Tony Castillo has joined Rick Lucan in the Atlanta bullpen. Until this inning, there's Castillo. Until this inning, Baver had not given up a hit since entering the game in the 7th. And he's been touched for 3 hits in a row. The home run by Sabo, a double by Hatcher, and an infield base hit by Larkin. And here's Eric Davis. 4-2 Cincinnati with 1 out in the 9th. Fly ball center field. Otomi McDowell hardly has to move. Hatcher tagging at third, and he will score easily to make it 5-2. And Davis picks up the RBI with a sacrifice fly.
Well, it's just so much fun to play on a team where you can hit a fly ball and get an RBI. Score a run, give your team a 3-run lead. Again, it gets fooled a little bit, but again, if he's got the proper mentality, he's looking for a ball he can hit in the air, drive somewhere, and he does it.
Todd Benzinger takes high, ball 1. With Davis's natural stroke, he's going to hit a lot of balls in the air because he really does come up at the ball a lot.
Yeah, when he was in the minors, even more so. They wondered if he'd ever be able to correct that.
Larkin at first with 2 out, 2 runs in here in the 9th for the Reds. And Benzinger with a count of 1 ball, no strikes. Ground ball to first. Zabriskie with the easy play, and the inning is over. However, a home run, a double, and a single, and a sacrifice fly. The Reds scored twice. They lead 5-2 going to the bottom of the 9th.
The Braves with one last chance in the bottom of the 9th against the Reds. But first, let's check the American League scoreboard. Alvaro Espinosa has an RBI. The Yankees lead is now 3-0 over Texas. Baltimore's come back. It's 6-6 now. We'll check the rest of the scores in a moment. Get back.
Thanks, John. Steve Zabriskie and Jim Palmer back here in Fulton County, Georgia. 5-2, Cincinnati leading in the 9th, so they go to the stopper, Randy Myers.
Coming off 24 saves for the Mets. In essence, what they did was change John Franco for Randy Myers. There are the numbers. They're awfully good ones, and we've already seen 2 soft tossing lefties tonight. This is not the case. Randy Myers, well over 90 miles per hour, comes right at you. Here, hit it, and it's going to be about 93 miles per hour and occasionally a hard slider.
Mark Lemke leads off the bottom of the 9th for Atlanta and takes a Myers fastball for strike 1. Lemke tonight 0 for 2 plus a walk. He was robbed of a hit on a fine play by Larkin in the 4th inning and hit a fly ball deep to left in the 6th. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And if Mark Lemke is thinking about getting on, and that's what he has to do to help his ball club, the push bunt, not a bad play. Myers falling off to the third base side. Try to, again, push it towards Duncan at second.
And Buddy hits it up the middle for a base hit, and he will be aboard. You saw Ron Gant on deck, and he will be the pinch hitter for Joe Baver with Lemke at first and nobody out at the bottom of the 9th. Instead of a 1-run game, however, the Braves find themselves down by 3 after Cincinnati scored 2 in the top of the 9th. Gant, a guy that Atlanta at one point felt was going to be one of their saviors, really, and he was never able to live up to the potential, either offensively or defensively. They struggled finding a place for him to play.
Yeah, a good American League DH type. But they're happy the way he's come about as an outfielder. He's made some nice plays. Still working on throwing from the outfield. 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting back in 1988. Of course, led all National League second basemen in errors, but did hit 19 home runs, 19 dingers.
Foul back into the screen, and the count 1-1. They sent him down to Richmond, and he also went to the Instructional League to learn to play the outfield.
If you look at last year, which was a disaster, hitting 177, they moved him from 2nd to 3rd. Didn't wash over there either.
That's why they went and got Presley. They didn't have a third baseman. Myers is up in the strike zone, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike. There's some gas. 2-2.
Not a whole lot of deception. Here it is. Try to hit it.
And for a left-hander, Myers throws a very straight ball. A lot of left-handers really can't throw the ball straight, but Myers throws so hard that.
And again, right over the top.
Yeah.
Again, if he's going to get any movement, it's going to be up. Throw that four-seam fastball, hold it across the seams, and hope that it just has that little hop on it.
Popped up, playable in the middle infield. Duncan is going to take it, and he does. One out as Lemke remains at first.
Yeah, if you try to hit off a high fastball pitcher, and that's exactly what I was, people would come up to me like 2 days before I'm going to pitch. They said, I'm not swinging at that high fastball. And they'd leave the dugout saying that. But you see it better than any other pitch. It's right up there in your eyes. Problem is, it's tough to hit, especially if it moves a little bit.
And it usually happens, it's popped up because you just can't get on top of the ball. You hit it on the bottom part of the ball and pop it up. McDowell 1 for 4. Had a bunt base hit his last time up in the 7th inning. Was stranded at third, however, reaching with 1 out, and Dibble came in and struck out Lonnie Smith and Nick Asaski in a big part of this game. The Reds going on to add to their lead in the 9th. On the ground to second. This could do it. Larkin to Benzinger, and the ball game is over. Randy Myers gets the double play here in the 9th inning after Lemke's leadoff single, and the Reds win it 5-2. Myers picking up the save, and Tom Browning getting the win. And Chris Sabo with 2 home runs for the first time in his career in one game have to be considered the hitting star this evening.
Well, he does. We talked about being healthy. It's early in the season, but Sabo last year, I mean, as we said, 33 and 55 when he wasn't in the lineup. 8 games over when he was. 12 men on the disabled list for the Cincinnati Reds in 1989. So we saw some of the stars. There's one right there, Tom Browning. We called him the ace of the staff. He really hung in there tonight. I'm very impressed, not with his stuff, but his tenacity, the way he just battles the hitters, comes at you, and he knows he's pitching for a better ball club this year than last year.
And Rob Dibble won't get a win or a save, but he certainly was a factor with those strikeouts.
We got a lot of mentions with all those strikeouts. Fine job by him.
Well, a reminder that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. A reminder, the second half of the doubleheader comes up next after we take you back to the studio. The San Diego Padres in San Francisco to take on the Giants at Candlestick in another big National League West Division matchup. The final here again tonight as Tom Browning wins it, Randy Myers saves it, and Lilliquist loses it 5-2 Reds. Now let's go back to John in the studio.
Thanks a lot, Steve and Jim. The Reds are a perfect 4-0 to start the 1990 baseball season, and Lou Piniella has yet to lose as a manager in the National League. He came over from the Yankees, of course. We want to send out congratulations before we continue with scores and highlights to the doctor. Dwight Gooden and his wife, Monica, a bouncing baby girl of 8 pounds born this morning. Ashley Dene, and Dr. Gooden is now a father for the first time with his wife, Monica. The Mets were playing the Expos, and the doc was there looking on as the Montreal Expos were at home hosting New York at the Big O Olympic Stadium. There's the doc saying, hey, Ron Darling, I'm a father again. Ashley Dene, 8 pounds. Kevin Gross would have plenty of defensive help at the Big O. Keith Miller will hit a blooper to shallow center. Delino DeShields, standing rookie, goes out to make the catch. Top of the 6th. Mike Marshall lines a shot, and DeShields is there again with another nice grab. David Cohn with a very strong outing. Bottom of the 7th, 2 on. Cohn will strike out Nelson Santavania. 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, only gave up 5 hits. Top of the 10th, 2 are out. Howard Johnson on second. Mike Marshall at the plate. Facing Tim Burke, the ace of the staff out of the bullpen, but he hits it through the infield. It scores Johnson. 2-1. The Mets take the lead, but they're not done. The next batter, Barry Lyons, and Lyons takes Burke deep to left. The home run, his second of the year, and it's a 2-run shot. The Mets win it 4-1 in 10 innings on the road. Barry Lyons with a 2-run home run. Julio Machado picks up the victory. John Franco, who used to pitch for the Cincinnati Reds, who you just saw here on ESPN, picks up his second save of the season. The Mets a winner 4-1. The Cardinals and the Phillies playing tonight at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, and John Tudor trying to come back from arm trouble. Veteran southpaw did it all. Snags Charlie Hayes line drive for the easy out. Then Darren Dalton's ground ball. Jose Aquindo comes up with this play, but watch Tudor hustle over to first, makes the play. Tudor strikes out Sil Campusano. on the slow pitch there. Offensively, top of the first, no score. Todd Zeal blasts a 2-run shot, his second home run of the year. This is the guy most people feel will be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. 2-0 Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Phillies struggled. McElroy's pickoff attempt goes nowhere near anything. The Phillies' home opener, but the Cardinals pick up the victory in a shutout. At least they're on their way to the victory. It's in the ninth. 4-0 is the score. John Tudor tossing 6 scoreless innings. The longest outing since September 19th of 1988. Todd Zeal with a 2-run home run, and Tom Brunansky had a home run as well. The Cubs and the Pirates in Pittsburgh. Ninth inning, Mitch Williams, Wild Thing, says he doesn't want to be called Wild Thing anymore. Picks off his man, Wally Bachman, going back into second. Williams then strikes out Bonilla. The Cubs win it 2-0 is the final. Maddox with a great outing. He went 6 innings, didn't give up a run in the game. Picks up the win 1-0. And Sandberg, 2-run home run in the 5th inning as Ryan Sandberg again with no errors in the game. So he's now 94 games consecutive without an error for Ryan Sandberg. Walk with the loss. And Mitch Williams, that was his 3rd save of the year. The Dodgers and the Astros. Bill Gullickson pitching in the game, but Gullickson is down 3-0. The Dodgers have the lead. Juan Samuel and Alfredo Griffin with sacrifice flies apiece, but 3-0 now is the score. The Reds and the Braves. Tom Browning, you just saw it here, picks up the win. He's 1-0. 5-2, Cincinnati gets the win. Chris Sabo had a home run in the 1st inning. He had a home run in the 9th inning. 2. He squeezes them in between the game. 2 home runs. And Murphy with a 2-run home run for the Atlanta Braves. The Padres and the Dodgers is the game that is coming your way in just a few moments' time. So stay with us. We'll continue on baseball tonight. When we come back, we'll have a look at the American League. Back with more baseball in just a moment. Stay with us. Hello once again, and everybody back to ESPN's baseball tonight. Let's continue and move to the American League now. The Indians and the White Sox playing at Comiskey Park. The Chicago White Sox off to a good start this year, winning their first 2. Larry Barnett, though, didn't make many friends. 4 called strikeouts in the first 4 innings. Corey Snyder right there. Corey Snyder obviously doesn't agree with the call. John Farrell had his help behind him. Jerry Brown dives to his right to rob Carlton Fisk of a base hit. Rudge isn't as quick as he used to be, but it was close. He makes the play very close. And then he goes to rob Carlos Martinez as well. Jerry Brown doing the job, and Corey Snyder with some extra effort. Chargers after this foul ball, catches it, and hits the stands and takes it on the chin as well. 6th inning with 1 on. Candy Maldonado hits Bill Long and takes him long to the wall. It's a 2-run home run. The Indians win it 6-2. Candy Maldonado with an outstanding day. He had a 2-run home run and a 2-run double as well. 6 runs batted in 2 games. Chris James had a home run. Steve Olin, 7 strikeouts in 3 1/3 innings. And Farrell was the winner. Doug Jones picks up the save. The Orioles and the Tigers playing this game at Tiger Stadium. Cal Ripken Jr. in the top of the first, already 1-0. The triple scores Joe Orsulak, Ripken's first triple in 985 at bats since June 21st, 88. The Orioles take a 4-1 lead in the bottom of the 4th, but Gary Ward facing Pete Harnish into the upper deck, and the pitch was tailor-made for it. They would score 6 runs in the 4th inning and take the lead at 6-4, but the Orioles fought back to tie at 6-6. Detroit back on top again. 7-6 is the score in this one. Ward with the 3-run shot. Johnson, Mitchell, and Price have been in. Morris started again for the Tigers. He lost his first game of the year. He will not lose this one. The Brewers and the Red Sox. Billy Joe Robideau had a home run in this game, but Milwaukee's up 5-3 in the 7th inning. Vaughn with 2 runs batted in. The Rangers and the Yankees. Pascual Perez in his first start as a member of the New York Yankees, and they want to get him ready. First, he gets Rafael Palmeiro. Had the slider working down and in. Then he sets up Harold Baines with the Ephus pitch, and he just looks at it as a strike before he strikes out Baines with another off-speed. He had 5 strikeouts. Don Mattingly pops this one up off Witt, but Jeff Kunkel is right under it and somehow can't squeeze the glove. Mattingly would go on to score, and the Yankees would lead 1-0. Pascual Perez, again with the break and stuff, started very strong in the game, and the Yankees have the lead. Pete Incaviglia saying, check that ball. That thing dropped a little too quickly. In the 8th inning, the Yankees are up 3-0. This would be their 2nd straight. Pascual Perez did pitch 5 innings, giving up just 1 hit, no earned runs, and he struck out 5 in the game. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Kansas City Royals. George Bell has an RBI. Manny Lee has an RBI in the game. Kansas City is down 2-1. Jimmy Key, the left-hander for the Blue Jays. George Bell with a go-ahead run. It was an RBI single in the 6th inning. The Padres and the San Francisco Giants. You can see this game at 10:30 Eastern time here on ESPN, so stay with us. Still plenty more baseball to come. It's a doubleheader every Friday night. Back with more baseball tonight in just a moment. Plenty more baseball coming your way. The Padres and the National League champion San Francisco Giants coming at about 10:30 Eastern time, 7:30 Pacific. It is Friday the 13th, and it's appropriate in baseball because no sport, no athletes are more superstitious than baseball players. Case in point, Wade Boggs of the Boston Red Sox.
Here's a book that every aspiring Major League ball player should have, Foul Tips. Now, it's not going to tell you how to catch up with a Nolan Ryan fastball or how to feel that sharp grounder hit to you at third. But one thing that it will tell you is how to cook chicken just about every which way. And for me, that's one of the ways that keeps the hits coming. All right, so eating chicken may be a little off the beaten path as far as superstitions go. But don't let anyone tell you that superstitions aren't a big part of this game. Greg Swindell, for example, bites off a piece of his fingernail before every start, then plays with it in his mouth throughout the entire game.
It started back in college. I didn't want to chew because, you know, it's a lot of herky-jerky motion out there, and you might swallowed it and gum. I really didn't have much success, so I just went with a fingernail, and it gives me something to do when I'm out there. You know, when I start to get nervous, I just start to play with it around in my mouth a little bit. I remember one time last year, I think I went to get some Gatorade, and it came out of my mouth when I spit, and it came out of my mouth, and I was on the ground looking for it. I didn't find it, so I bit off another one.
Pitchers do have a backwards way of thinking. Look at Brian Holton, for example. At the start of every inning, he circles around the back of the mound to pick up the ball. Then he does a little twirl afterwards. Then there's the way he gets set for his batters. If it's a right-handed hitter, he puts his left foot on the rubber, then his right. If it's a left-handed batter, it's his right foot first, then his left foot. At the end of every inning, there's a patented sideways skip over the foul line. Of course, batters have their idiosyncrasies too. Tim Raines always makes an X with his foot in the front of the batter's box. And Rex Hudler likes Ken Singleton to sit in front of his locker before every game.
All it takes is a few seconds. That's just a few seconds of greatness in my seat. I mean, he's done so much and I've done so little that I'm hoping something rubs off.
One of my many superstitions is my black underwear. I only pitch in black jockey silk underwear, and I've only used them since 1984 exclusively. I mean, underneath my game pants are the black jockeys, and everything's gone really well since I made the change.
Everybody does something to boost their confidence.
Wade Boggs does eat chicken, but he does not wear the number 13 on his back. But these guys do. 9 players in all in the American League. Lance Parrish of California, Ozzie Guillen of the White Sox. Billy Joe Robideau, Friday the 13th, he wears number 13, a home run and a sacrifice fly. Alvaro Espinosa of the Yankees, he has an RBI. Omar Vizquel of Seattle as well. In the National League, Jeff Musselman of the New York Mets. Roger McDowell used to play for the Mets, now with Philadelphia. Jose Lean of Pittsburgh. And Mike Pagliarulo of San Diego. All these players wearing number 13 throughout the season. Extra special on today, Friday the 13th. More baseball to come. We'll get it out to the West Coast in just a moment. Stay with us here on ESPN's Baseball Tonight.